Between the south of Asia and the north shores of Australia lie the remains of a vast sunken continent. More than 13,000 islands comprise the Indonesian archipelago, a nation of island states forming a bridge of lush, tropical stepping stones from Sumatra and Java, south and east, almost to Australia. 360 diverse ethnic groups speaking 365 languages and dialects grace these islands with a crazy quilt of cultures. Sumatra, Java, Sulawesi, Kalimantan, Maluka, Irian Jaya, romantic and musical names veiled in mystery. In all these islands, there is no place more romantic and alluring, no people more colorful and attractive, no culture so intricately, artistically, and richly developed than this island paradise. International Video Network welcomes you on this Video Visits tour of Bali, a window on paradise. Separated from Java by only 2 miles of shallow water, Bali is geologically similar to Java, yet culturally unique. It is a tiny place by world standards, measuring 100 miles north to south and 170 east to west. Bali is all but lost on a world map, and yet she is one of the most famous islands on Earth. Lying just 8 degrees south of the equator, Bali's climate is tropical and uniform the year round. The island is dominated by a chain of tall volcanoes which reach high into the moisture-laden winds, coaxing the rains to fall on the rich volcanic soil of their southern flanks. South-central Bali is blessed with abundant water. It is here that her history was written and where her amazing culture flourishes today. Why is it that Bali's fame has spread so widely? And how did it become the favored tourist mecca that it is? The answer lies in her vibrant culture, which sets Bali apart from the rest of the world. There are few remaining places in the world where a people live in accordance with an age-old pattern of harmony. In ecological harmony with their life-sustaining environment, in psychological harmony within themselves, in social harmony with one another, and in spiritual harmony with the world beyond the senses. And most such places remain that way only because they are inaccessible to the outside world. On the tiny island of Bali, such a realm exists and indeed thrives, maintaining its cultural identity with open doors to visitors from around the world. If you tried to imagine an earthly paradise, a place where man lives as part of nature, and where nature's abundance satisfies most basic needs, and everyday life becomes a colorful celebration, you would see a place very much like the island world of Bali. To the Balinese themselves, This tiny speck of land, floating in the vast archipelago of Indonesia, is the center of the world. And at its center, the living volcano, Gunung Agung, is seen as the source of the world itself. Indeed, the people of Bali have watched for thousands of years as fertile volcanic soils flowed from this mountain, aptly called the navel of the world. Daily they have watched as the abundant water, so necessary to their thirsty crops, descends these lofty slopes. Tropical climate, fertile soils, and abundant water combine and so favor the plant kingdom that the island is always robed in the lush green of nature's profuse gifts. Nature is generous to the people of Bali. On hills too steep for agriculture, there grows a sturdy grass that is easily woven into roofing material, providing superb protection from the elements. From the canyons of Bali's countless streams, tall stands of bamboo provide the Balinese with one of the most useful natural materials known to man. Huge coconut palms supply many household utensils, food, copra for trade, and timber for building. Offerings are fashioned from the leaves, and in the village market, more than 40 fresh and locally grown fruits tempt the palate. Taught by the gods, the Balinese are experts at the wet field, or sawa method of growing rice. Despite advances in modern agriculture, the traditional Balinese method is still the most successful on earth, resulting in a higher yield per acre than even the most technologically developed countries. This success and the efficiency of their labors affords the Balinese the free time to participate in their arts, crafts, and incomparably rich spiritual life. More than 25,000 temples and over 100,000 shrines grace the Balinese landscape and dominate the social life of her people. The temples are theaters where the people put on shows for the gods and ancestral spirits, who are regularly invited down from the heavens to be entertained. Highly refined techniques enable the Balinese to use trance mediumship to communicate with their ancestors and to receive their help and advice. This communion with the ancestors keeps the faith of the people vital and relevant. The oldest elements of Balinese culture are animistic and inform the people that all things are imbued with spirit and energy which must be kept in balance. This balance is the predominant theme of her religion and of everyday life. Their ancestor worship was born of ancient times, lost to memory and scholarship. Buddhist elements can be dated and have left visible traces. Today, a strong Hindu heritage overlays all these older beliefs and practices and is responsible for the amazingly colorful and even theatrical nature of the spectacle of life in Bali. The Balinese are acting out a passion play of epic proportions, alluring and beguiling to visitors from the outside world who are ever seduced by her magic. Near Badugal, on the shores of Lake Breton, the water temple Ulu Danu stands, dedicated to Dewi Danu, the goddess of the waters. This is one of the most important Subak temples. These high mountain lakes are of exceptional importance to the rice farmers downstream, and the Subak holds special ceremonies here to ensure harmony with the spirit world. This temple, with its thatch-roofed shrines, or merus, is typical of all Balinese temples. The multi-story merus may have from 3 to 11 roofs, odd numbers only, and are thatched with sugar palm fiber, which will last for up to 50 years. Each of Bali's three great peaks has its important Subak temple. At Batur, the Subak temple is kept busy the year round. When a crop is started anywhere on the watershed below, the goddess of this temple must be consulted. Water from here and from many other highland sources is channeled through pipes, tunnels, aqueducts, and canals to the tens of thousands of rice paddies sculpted from the steep southern slopes of this half-ring of slumbering volcanoes. Few of the works of man equal the rice terraces of Bali for functional beauty, and few technical achievements have been so successful. Sculpted into the face of the land and covering the country as a living mosaic, the sawas of Bali are everywhere visible, a pattern that has now become an integral and balanced part of nature. The Balinese rice-growing cycle begins with the burning of straw and stubble from the previous crop, which releases indispensable nutrients into the soil. The sawa is then flooded and thoroughly plowed. Ash, unburned stubble, and roots act as soil conditioner and fertilizer. Imported machines are sometimes used, but these cows are the preferred power source, not only because they are self-maintaining and won't get stuck in the mud, but also because their fuel grows easily and their non-polluting byproduct is a valuable natural fertilizer. After repeated plowing, the flooded sawas are flattened and allowed to rest while the nursery plot is started. Select seed from the previous crop is grown for a month or two on a small plot in a corner of the field. When the time is right, these sprouts are transplanted to the larger field. When the sprouts have matured and filled out, the fields are drained and the rice begins its rapid growth. The sawas, which mirror the heavens, are quickly transformed into lush green carpets. Insect control is provided by the Balinese duck, or bebek. In a remarkable use of the natural process of imprinting, the young ducks are trained to recognize this flagged pole as if it were a mother to be followed, and will stay near it for the rest of their lives. It is used to mark out the day's work, as well as to lead the flock to and from the fields. At harvest time, men, women, children, and priests turn out to join the festivities. Hard work becomes, at the same time, an important and satisfying social event. Villages in these mountains are usually located on narrow ridges or other land of limited agricultural use. These ridges and the streams that create them follow the north-south slope of the land. Today's road system follows these ridges and the footpaths of recent history. The adoption of the motor vehicle and paving of the main roads has begun a series of changes in the pattern of Balinese life. In a land where much of the social life has been lived out on the village streets, the road has become dangerous and noisy. The Balinese, however, seem reluctant to relinquish the road to vehicular traffic. The resultant high-speed obstacle course can be very stimulating, a continuous challenge with life and limb at stake. From rickshaw-like pedal-powered vehicles, a taxi service evolved, now operating small vans, but named after the pedal-powered bimos. Today's bimos are the transit system of the island and share the roads with trucks, buses, and hordes of rental cars. The spaces between these vehicles is then filled up with motorbikes, the most common vehicle on the island. The motor vehicle has integrated into the culture to the extent that on an auspicious day, called Tumpek Landep, vehicles receive special offerings of woven palm leaf. On Bali, there are shrines everywhere, at which the Balinese make daily offerings to thank the spirits responsible for all that is good in life. The positive spirits honored at these shrines, however, represent only half the story. For every positive spirit, there are balancing negative spirits, and these forces must be placated as well if life is to go smoothly. And so offerings are made to the low spirits as well as high, and the rituals involved are a significant part of everyone's lives. These spirits, high and low, battle one another, while the Balinese strive for neutrality and the war of opposites rages on. Neither side is expected to ever win. The story never ends. Balance is the goal. The material aspects of Balinese life are simple. The tropics require little in the way of clothing and shelter, and the land is generous in providing food and raw materials. These people have maintained a simplicity in fulfilling their needs, leaving them abundant leisure time to develop a rich lifestyle. Although clothing worn for festival occasions is stunning and expensive, everyday clothing is plain and practical. This relationship is true also of their diet. Festive occasions find the men joining in on the kitchen duties when gourmet feasts are prepared. Ordinary meals, however, are simple. The kitchen of a traditional Bali home is very, very basic. The Balinese don't usually sit down to a table or eat together, but take their meals off to themselves. The most common meal is steamed rice with a sauce of liquid fire and perhaps some vegetable. The austerity of home cooking is relieved somewhat through the services of food vendors. The natives are known as nibblers and support a large number of these wandering vendors. In addition, little roadside stands called warongs are present nearly everywhere, and a great deal of social life goes on at these Bali-style fast food counters. As with food and clothing, so also are the needs for shelter met with great simplicity. A home in Bali is a walled area or compound rather than a building. Inside the wall, 4 or more simple pavilions provide shelter. Most pavilions are built without walls. These pavilions, called baal, are raised platforms of mud and brick or stone, protected by a thick roof of grass, palm, and bamboo. These roofs, when made well, will last 25 to 50 years even in this hot, wet climate. The grass thatch, called alang-alang, is gathered from the sides of ridges too steep to support rice paddies. Bamboo for the structural components grows wild in the creek canyons and wherever it's allowed to take hold. Not only is much of the home built with it, but also beds, ladders, bridges, water containers, and kitchen utensils. Irrigation pipes and even smoking pipes are fashioned from bamboo. Screens and walls are woven from it, as well as trays, baskets, and sun hats. There are medicines made from bamboo, and the young shoots are a tasty food. With a weight-to-strength ratio similar to steel, this fast-growing member of the grass family is an indispensable part of Balinese life. Every home and village in Bali is laid out in a special orientation relative to the holy mountains above and the sea below. On the edge of each town, nearest to Mount Agung, stands the village temple of origins, dedicated to the patriarch founders of the community, one of the 3 temples necessary to an independent village, or desa. The Pura Desa, or civic temple, and its assembly hall, the Balai Agung, are located in the town square at the main crossroads. Here also are the palace, a cockfight shed, a banyan tree, the village market, and a tower housing giant gongs, sounded to announce social events. On the edge of the village nearest the sea, the graveyard is usually located. Here the dead are temporarily laid to rest, or waiting until the time is right for cremation. And here also is the Puradalam, or Temple of the Dead, the 3rd temple required for independent villagehood. Dedicated to practically every imaginable thing, place, and activity, temples spring up on Bali like mushrooms. There are small temples to which only one family belongs, temples to which a specific group belongs, and temples to which all Balinese belong. The result is that each family owes its allegiance and support to as many as 15 temples. These interwoven loyalties bind the society together in a single, seamless fabric. Intense rain, heat, and the unending battle with the plant life of the island limit the lifespan of man's artifacts here. Even building stone weathers away at a remarkable pace. As a result, few ancient historical structures stand. The Temple Gunung Kawi is one notable exception. This stairway carved from solid rock leads from the village to the temple below. Sculpted in this same volcanic rock during the 11th century, Gunung Kawi is a relic of Tantric Buddhism, a Buddhist form which injected a great deal of mysticism into Balinese life. Just a short way upstream from Gunung Kawi is found the source of this river at the sacred springs of Tirta Empul. Near Tirta Empul, legend has it that the gods fought a demon in the form of a king with the head of a pig. The demon poisoned the springs where the battle-weary gods quenched their thirst, and all but one perished. The survivors smote the ground and birthed these springs of great restorative powers. Snatched back from death's grip, the gods rallied and beheaded the demon, whose blood polluted the nearby river. The springs are still considered to have great restorative powers and draw visitors from all over Indonesia. The river, however, is quite another matter. It is said that plants irrigated with water from this source will, upon being cut, exude blood, and to this day, the river is left to bypass the rice paddies below. In a country where water management so shapes the landscape, this is a rare situation and illustrates how important and alive the Balinese myths are today. Vital legends and myths are kept alive through widespread participation in the many art forms practiced on Bali. An ancient Indonesian form of storytelling informs the Balinese of their history and ensures cultural continuity. Tales of gods and heroes, of good and evil spirits, are deeply ingrained in the minds of these people and help to form their values. Storytelling, dance, and drama are as much a part of life in Bali as television is in the Western world. The wayang kulit, or shadow play, is the premier form of storytelling. These puppets are well-known characters, and the puppeteer, or dalang, is a VIP in the community. Ordained by a priest and shown the greatest of respect, the dalang is at once a humorist, actor, historian, teacher, priest, and social critic. He is a man of great importance, and great responsibility. Performance of the Wayan Kulit is a requirement to many important ceremonies and a welcome form of entertainment at any time. The stories are ancient and yet timeless, and become indelibly imprinted on the subconscious during childhood. His hands busy with the puppets, his voice with the narrative, it is with his feet that the dalang directs the music, tapping directions and cues on the side of his puppet box. The shadow plays, dances, and dramas of Bali cannot be separated from the spiritual life of the island. The arts and festivals, ceremonies and rituals blend and weave themselves into Balinese life. A short distance south of Gunung Kawi is Ubud, a jewel of a town and a center for the arts. Located in the middle of the island's most populous region, Ubud has long been a cultural center. The village became known in the 1930s as a hospitable place for artists and anthropologists, and its reputation has grown over the years. The town is well equipped to meet the needs of the traveler. There is even a public telephone here, an item that's still rare on this island. At the center of town, there are the usual institutions: the palace, temple, meeting hall, banyan tree, market, and bell tower. Managed by women from the area, the Ubud market becomes the hub of the village activities every third day. Here, among the hustle and bustle, one finds everything from exotic fruits and vegetables to live rice paddy eels. While the market takes place every third day, the arts and crafts of Bali are on sale every day. The work is very creative and the prices exceptionally low. The Balinese are amazing with their hands. It seems that every time they are shown a new craft from the outside world, they master it instantly. Endless discussions and countless theories have been born of this phenomena. Why do artists spring so regularly from the soil of this island? Some say it is because nothing survives the climate, including the sandstone carvings that embellish the temples. As a result, a great many people on Bali must practice the arts and crafts just to maintain the edifices of the rich spiritual life. Others say that for the Balinese, life itself is art, and beauty is just an essential element of everyday life. Whatever the reason, the talents of the Balinese became world famous long ago, and today contribute to the economic well-being of her people. When in the 30s Western artists first took residence in Ubud, a rich tradition of arts already existed and thrived. Interaction with talented Westerners, however, spurred a renaissance. Oil and watercolor painting, perhaps, demonstrate this best. The older forms stressed a highly stylized and formal approach, while the new stressed realism. The traditional style emphasized spiritual subjects, while the new forms deal with contemporary everyday life. Both are vibrant and alive and vividly express the essence of the Balinese experience. In the Hindu Balinese tradition, a person is expected to develop skills in painting, poetry, carving, dance, and other refinements. Embracing these values, The Balinese have done just that. In fact, art is so much a part of life that they have no word for it. Here, life and art have merged. Artist Nyoman Suradnya is a man of considerable fame who puts on no airs as he describes his approach to art.
This is all natural color, which I made it myself. So they all come from vegetable dyes which just grow up in Bali. So they are content of betel nut, leaf, and mango stain, fruit and the leaf. A betel nut will give a deep red and also a really, really dark brown. And hibiscus can give you different kind of plant will give you different color. For example, like the flower will give you a bright red, and then the root give you a totally different contrast color, which is dark ochre. See, that is what I mean by the magic of the natural color. Because it's very safe, you can use with your hand. It's not dangerous. And also, it's great fun because the color is a really vibrant color.
A few minutes' walk from central Ubud, a small but dense grove of trees is home to a large band of monkeys and is the setting for the Pura Dalem, or Temple of the Dead. Hanuman, an important Hindu deity, took the form of a monkey and led an army of monkeys with whom he defended many important causes. These fellows seem to lead a comfortable life. Perhaps one day they'll form an army and defend the island. Well, then again, perhaps not. Peliatan, just to the south of Ubud, is an important center for dance. Nowhere else in Bali is so much energy concentrated on this form of expression. In addition to performing the traditional religious dances, dancers from Peliatan interpret the art form for visitors. Balinese dance, drama, and music blend in a rich unity and flavor the entire experience of life with an artistic and creative grace. Magic exists in the relationship between the dancer and the musicians. They cooperate to entertain the gods, and the seriousness of this undertaking inspires a level of performance seldom achieved elsewhere. Each musical accent is reflected by and personified in the movement of the dancer. These movements are, in fact, a highly refined language with strictly defined grammar and rules. The positions and movements of each body element are named and defined. For the movements of feet and legs, there are 30 names. For those of the arms, 16 names. For hands and fingers, 19 names. For the trunk, 14. For neck and shoulder movements, 20 names. And for facial expressions, at least 16. Each term defines a specific element of a rich and expressive language through which musician and dancer make visible the drama they are performing. The orchestra, known as a gamelan, is often said to lead the dancers, but then the most skilled dancers are said to lead the musicians. What is apparent is the harmony between them. The legong is the most famous, demanding, and feminine of the Bali dance styles. Performers are young girls, usually pre-teen, who begin their training at a tender age. It's during early youth that suppleness and devoted attention are great enough to master these difficult forms. By their mid-teens, these Legong dancers will be forced into retirement, perhaps to teach the next generation or to participate in other dance forms. An important element of Balinese dance is the ceremonial mask, a window into the world of the spirit portrayed by the dancer. The topeng dance is an important form of entertainment as well as ritual for temple ceremonies. Tales of kings and warriors from Bali's history are enacted, sometimes serious, other times slapstick, earthy, and humorous. Older men usually act in the topeng. Sometimes one man plays all the characters, changing masks with each role. In preparation for this dance, the topeng enacts an ancient ritual. In a small booth to the rear of the dance area, the artist readies himself with prayer. When the dance is to begin, the dancer ceases his meditation and carefully dons the mask. His preparations have readied him for entering the requisite trance state. He then comes out, deeply immersed in the character induced by the mask. More than 30 masks are recognized by the audiences of Bali. The Balinese mask had its origin in Java, where the mask, as well as the dance, was very formal and stylized. In Bali, dance and mask took on life and became expressive of this exuberant culture. The Balinese say that the mask should clearly reveal the emotions and even the facial expressions of the dancers, though the face remains hidden from view. Here in the village of Mas, skilled carpenters success as a lucrative craft market to the nearby tourist centers. When the Dutch traded with and ruled Bali during the 19th century, the port town of Singaraja on the north side of the island was the capital and administrative headquarters. Singaraja was also administrative center for Dutch rule of all the islands of Nusa Tenggara, an island group stretching from Bali east as far as Timor and including 15 larger and countless smaller islands. Much of the architecture of Singaraja stands in mute testimony to this extended association with European cultures. Today, Bali's doorway to the outside world has shifted south to the Bukit Peninsula. The Kuta and Legian beach area near Bali's international airport is the center of island tourism. So active is the social scene here that many vacationers see little more than this of Bali. The surfer on Bali has many beaches from which to choose. Waves roll in from the wide expanse of the Indian Ocean, providing unlimited recreation. Shopping is a favorite pastime for visitors to Bali's beach areas, and the streets of Kuta and Legian are a shopper's paradise. Opposite Kuta, on the eastern beaches of the peninsula, the Sanur area offers a wide range of accommodations and a bit more peace and quiet than the Kuta side. Here, the luxury hotels provide all the comforts of world-class resorts in a decidedly Eden-like setting. Some of the most impressive examples of modern Balinese architecture are found here and at Nusa Dua Beach, and were designed specifically for the pleasure of Bali's visitors. A few miles up the coast, older monuments draw visitors to the famous seaside temple of Tanalot. According to the Balinese worldview, the positive spirits occupy the high ground, above the mountains, and the low or negative dwell below the sea. Some of the most important temples of Bali lie high in the mountains, near the home of the gods, and to keep things in balance, other temples must exist at the sea, regardless of the demons. This belief system has created masterpieces such as Tanalot, seeming here to be more of the sea than of the land. This is a land of temples. Many of them lie still most of the time and come alive with festive ceremony once or twice a year. Others, like Tanalot, receive a great deal more attention. During cremation rituals, the ashes of the dead are spread upon the sea. Dispersal of the ashes is but a small part of the ritual surrounding death, a ritual which may take months to complete. The entire community is mobilized for this task. It may take thousands of man-hours to send one soul on its way properly. For the Balinese, death is a joyful transition back into the spirit world from which all life springs, and consequently, cremation is a time of celebration. The men build the necessary structures. Here they're working on the sarcophagus, or coffin, called the patulangan. This is built in the form of a deer or bull, a winged lion, or other creature as determined by the caste of the deceased. Upon death, the body is buried, awaiting an auspicious day for cremation. Most often, only bones will survive this period of waiting in the tropical soil. The patulangan, with the body inside, will be burned along with other structures built for the occasion. The body of the deceased is considered an empty container, and is a burden on everyone until properly disposed of. The home, the family, and even the village is considered unclean until these rites have been performed. The women prepare food and offerings for the complex of ceremonies ahead. Where ancestor worship is practiced, death is a step toward greater esteem, and with reincarnation expected, death is like a marker between chapters, often a welcome liberation from the decrepitude of old age. The complex of procedures that prepare the soul to move on in its evolvement do much to blunt the pain of loss. The anointed body is carried to the cremation in these structures of dimensions suited to the person's caste and station in life. The cremation is attended in ordinary street clothes, and the mood is festive and tumultuous. During the series of rites, the soul is invited out of the body and into effigies, which are honored and shown great respect. The earthly remains, however, are not treated with as much dignity. In this procession, the participants behave in an excited and disorderly fashion. They call this ramé, and they do it to evade negative spirits and to create the mood they wish to project. A great deal of holy water is used during a cremation. The use of holy water and its importance has been such that the Balinese call their religion Agama Tirtha, or science of holy water. On this auspicious day, hundreds may go up in flames together, enjoying the benefits of shared costs and increased splendor. The body has lost most of its significance now. The soul, released from its attraction to the body, is free to join the spirits in the heavens above the holy mountains. Finally, the ashes are given to the sea. Towering above all features on Bali, dominant also in the faith of her people, is Gunung Agung. Central geographically and spiritually to the Balinese, Agung rises to over 9,400 feet and towers above her sister peaks. In every temple on Bali, there is a shrine honoring Gunung Agung. The heavens above Gunung Agung are home to all the gods and spirits of the land. This temple, high on the flanks of the volcano and only 6 miles from the crater, was miraculously spared in the eruption of 1963, as well as that of 1843, and of the undated others in the 1,000 years that she has stood. This is Besaki, the Mother Temple, the single temple to which all Balinese pledge themselves. Enormous by island standards, large by any, Besaki climbs the slopes of Agung on 7 ascending terraces. The equivalent to 30 temples, She honors all the positive spirits of this enchanting microcosm and is the common thread to this incomparable tapestry. The magic of Bali lies deeper than the beauty of the land or the charm of her open, friendly people. It is embedded in her culture, rooted firmly in her fertile soil. The rich blend of art and spiritual life nurtures the soul of the Balinese and sustains this wonderful pageant which is Bali. Its beginnings lost in time, the culture is argued to be over 4,000 years old, and yet it flourishes with youthful vitality. The modern world has more to learn from Bali, perhaps, than from all the history books written in the tongues of man.
International Video Network brings you the greatest adventures in video entertainment. Award-winning documentaries from Reader's Digest, exploring the masterworks of man and nature. Travel planning videos from Fodors, revealing looks at the people, places, and cultures of the world. Rand McNally Video Expeditions, taking you to some of the most remote and dangerous places on Earth. Rand McNally Video Travelers, whirlwind tours you can enjoy from the comfort of your living room. Super Cities, celebrating the best-loved cities of the world. And Video Visits, whisking you away to exotic, romantic, and popular destinations. International Video Network. Great adventures in video. See your local video retailer or call International Video Network at 1-800-669-4486, extension 850 for your free catalog, featuring more than 250 travel, documentary, and special interest videos.